Hey everyone, welcome to BarnBridge Project Call 31. We were off 2 weeks ago due to a holiday, but excited to get back into sharing some updates. We'll jump right in with tech and dev updates. I'll pass it to Bogdan. Go ahead, Bogdan, thanks.
Thank you, Christian. So, hi guys, a couple of words before I begin about the way we'll be communicating dev updates to the community moving forward, because this is something we had extensive discussions internally, as well as like we've seen it being vocalized on Discord, because there was a slight lack of updates recently, even with the missed call a couple of weeks ago. And we want to assure everyone that this wasn't due to development slowing down, but like more of a consequence of the stage we're in right now. So this sort of period between launching Smart Alpha in September and the L2 releases we rolled out until I think early October, and between those and the next steps on the roadmap, we took the time to work through 3 more product ideas that we had on the table. Like as we know, the version 2 of Smart Yield, the new fixed rate product we have spec'd out, and the potential of building out the custom lending market. So what we did was we gathered feedback from all of our partners. We had a lot of big brains discuss these with us. We've worked on the specs, and we finally nailed those down. So the specking out part of all of the new products, that's the longest step in the development process. I think I've mentioned this before, but for Smart Alpha, it took a couple of months to spec it out and a couple of days to write the actual code. So these 2 months were dedicated to specking out the 2 products we ended up working with, the new fixed rate product and the version 2 of Smart Yield. And the specs are ready and smart contract work will start. So that's kind of what happened and why there weren't any more glamorous tech updates in the meanwhile. But yeah, so as a consequence, moving forward, as promised on previous community calls, and also like because dev work is going to kick off on the new products, we will resume the cadence that you guys were used to, where we're going to infrastructure, back and front end audits, all of the specific details of the dev process, and this will be based on a list that we get from the dev team of bullet points that I will try my best to give specific details on each bullet point during the call. After the call, we will create a doc, a doc with those. It's going to include the bullet list, a couple of paragraphs with the details that I walked through during the call as well, with added any design leaks we might have, any charts, any other artifacts that we think will give more depth to these. And these docs will be shared in the meeting notes. We're going to share them on Discord. We're going to share them on Twitter. They're going to be communicated in a way that everyone has access to them and is able to track them going forward. And this is going to help existing community members and new people joining the community in like tracking whatever the dev team has been up to, like looking back in time. So we hope this will improve transparency even more. And yeah, let's kick this off. I'll try to give out detailed updates on what we were up to lately, and looking forward to seeing what everyone thinks of this. So let me scroll to my list. First on it, the infrastructure and backend stuff. Let's call it least glamorous stuff, but something that takes a lot of time for us, and it's hidden in the backend, and nobody actually sees these. So we have built more robust Smart Alpha update bots for all of the networks that we are deployed on. This is as an alternative to Chainlink keepers. This will make sure that all of the upkeep transactions that we have happen on time. You guys might know that Smart Alpha epoch advancements have to happen with the transaction, and we all know that blockchains don't have cron jobs. So yeah, we need bots for those. We've rebuilt those, and we've pretty much automated this process. Also, we've worked on the general upkeep of the cluster, all of the services we have bundled together with extra monitoring, extra alerting for the health of these services, because they add up. There's a bunch of them. And yeah, all of the DBs and all of the services now have alerts and updates, so we know whenever things go wrong. The recent updates we had included calculating junior and senior average APY figures. And this is an intensive process, and it caused DB loads. And yeah, we made optimizations for those to ensure all of the figures that we display are correct and up to date, which sounds like a small thing, but it's actually a pain in the ass to do. More cleanup happened through all of the resources with like all of this stuff. We found out a bunch of stuff we didn't need. We removed whatever we could in order to decrease hosting costs. What else? We've been doing our best and working with we're trying to have better RPCs, especially when it comes to Arbitrum and BSC. It's also a pain in the ass keeping those up. RPC endpoints are a bit flaky at times, and we're working with these teams as well as RPC providers to ensure that we can keep Arbitrum and BSC up. What else? Yeah, we built a custom endpoint. That's something we had as a request from funds that use Smart Alpha and need this for calculating the net asset value. This is a tool that will allow people to pull junior and senior token pricing data for timestamps for any specific timestamp on any specific Smart Alpha deployment. We will include this tool in the app, so anyone looking to calculate their specific performance on specific dates can pull junior and senior token prices. And finally, on the backend front, we prepared the data pipeline, all of the repos for the backend, and open source them. So the scraper, the pipeline, the indexer, the API, all of the dependencies for those are now open source. And this is for the transparency, for added transparency into how our custom backend solution works. So anyone interested in geeking out on those can check them out in the BarnBridge org on GitHub. That's it for infrastructure and backend. The second point, product updates. I think this is the most interesting stuff. Some general front-end updates. We have done a bunch of code cleanup and refactoring, modifying the front-end to be dynamic and the configs to allow easier layer 2 deployments and sort of config updates whenever we need to change an RPC and stuff like that. More front-end stuff, mobile connectivity and UI. So a proper mobile version of the design is done, and it's soon to be implemented. Also, mobile connectivity is in testing, and this will hopefully allow transactions from mobile users. I know most people use desktop versions, but yeah, it's something we've seen people ask for, and it's coming soon. On more front-end stuff, we've had the like that awesome community proposal on SmartYield and Smart Alpha modifications. The SmartYield part of that is already deployed. I replied to the forum post with these, but I think I'm going to go through a quick walk through them again. We've added links on the SmartYield side. We've added links on all of the token names in the transaction tables and portfolios. So all of the token names, wherever you find them in the app, they have links on them, and they link to the token page on Etherscan. There is backend support, as I previously mentioned, for the 30-day average APY, in SmartYield, and that's added on the SmartYield homepage below the originator rates. Junior token conversion rates column, we've replaced it by 2 new columns, like to show your position when you're connected with the wallet. We now show your junior positions balance and your senior positions balance by aggregating the balances you have in your portfolio. We have renamed the junior API and senior API columns to variable and fixed APY. Wherever you could find originator APY before, it's now replaced with the originator name. So instead of originator APY, we have compound APY, Aave APY, and so on. And we also did some changes to how the SmartYield pool rows are designed and work. So they're now clickable, same as the Smart Alpha pools. For Smart Alpha, it is done, but it's only in our dev environment. So those changes are not in the main app yet. But yeah, right now, there's 2 of those. The first one is about showing the underlying dollar prices for juniors on the pool card where the leverage drops. So now we show the current price of the asset and the price where the downside leverage drops. So people can now see at a glance how close they are for the downside leverage to reset to 1. That's more of a smart alpha specific thing, but whoever's used it and is familiar with it probably know what I'm talking about. Smart alpha pool list now displays the estimated upcoming epoch details. So for that, there will be a toggle on the homepage that you can toggle between current and the estimated epoch. So it's going to show you the current epoch and the based on the conditions in the entry and exit queues. It's going to show you how the estimated for the next epoch is going to look when you hit the toggle. Now, more plans for the Smart Alpha UI, and this is a bigger thing we have ongoing. It's not exclusive to the Smart Alpha UI, but this is the more exciting stuff. There's a whole V2 of the design being worked on, and this is still something that Dennis is working on. We have all of the components in place. It just has to be laid out in the pages. So it's going to be a full app overhaul. But for Smart Alpha specifically, we've had feedback that it's a bit tough on the UX side. So we agree with this. Smart Alpha is now, the UI for it is a bit rigid. It's a bit, how should we call it? It's like an explorer. So right now it's built off of the model that the smart contracts use. And it's not that user-friendly. It's not showing APYs anywhere. We've had feedback that people don't know what their actual gains are. And we're going to change the UX to, someone called this appeal to the lizard brain of people. I've loved this expression. It's gonna show numbers. It's gonna show APYs. It's gonna show like more in the style that people are used to in portfolio management apps. It's gonna show you the performance of your position. You're going to have more user-focused details on what your Smart Alpha positions are doing. So that's a big deal, and it's going to change the way Smart Alpha looks almost entirely. Another plan for Smart Alpha is experimenting on like the Smart Alpha version for Treasury specifically. So a good use case, not possibly the best use case for Smart Alpha, is for a project that has its own treasury denominated in its own token, entering the senior side of Smart Alpha, and the community members entering on the junior side. This essentially means that Tyler, you're unmuted. Do you want to add anything?
I was just going to jump in and say that aside from just the dev side on that, I've personally been talking with Zeus from Olympus, from the Olympus DAO, and they're working on some really interesting protocol-owned liquidity products that I think are like an expansion of like what the original Olympus Pro was. And so part of this, like I have like a general idea for even a concept called like smart liquidity that utilizes Smart Alpha to like more easily do some of these things, or like it makes it easier for DAOs to do these types of things. The problem is it's just like a big build, and a lot of the things that Bogdan will talk about later that we're excited about on things that the dev team has. I think people after this all realize why we really Olympus is doing a lot of the legwork where Smart Alpha just really smart, like compatible component to a lot of what these DAOs are doing. And so that will be something that in like December and January that I work on with Zeus, and then later the Olympus community, and then also the BarnBridge community kind of explaining how we can do these things, but if we can get it to the point where it's a lot of the protocols are already getting built out and they're just money Legos attaching to each other, it makes it a lot easier for us to really focus on it more as like a DAO development effort, which is more of an operational type. You don't necessarily need to know how to code type effort, so that the devs can focus on the other side. So what Bogdan was talking about is a little deeper than I think that the whole stuff gets so busy, and Olympics is obviously busy, like slowly taking over the world. But we are working with them and have a close relationship with them, and I think that the stuff that they're doing will be very compatible with some of the things we've already built.
Yeah, what Tyler said is the longer term vision for that. The point I was trying to make was actual the current version of Smart Alpha being used by treasuries to essentially collateralize the leverage of their community members, and them entering on the junior side, and the community members covering the potential losses of the treasury on down markets. So in a way, the DAO is there for the community members when the times are good and when everything goes up, and the DAO members are the community is there for the DAO when the times are bad, and it's essentially offering it some of the downside protection that Smart Alpha enables. Okay, that's it for the current products. Let's do new products. The new products next. We gave details a couple of calls ago on how these work. So the first new product is the fixed rate stuff. We should probably release a sort of spec soon, but try not to give too much alpha on it. I've mentioned that we've been talking to people on how this works. We've had calls with the funds, and the feedback is overwhelmingly positive for this first product. There's way more interest than we would have thought in long. And when I say long, I mean long, not 90 days, years long-term fixed rate products, which is amazing. The spec, I've also mentioned this, it's finalized. We're looking to book audits, and we're gonna kick off working on the smart contract code. So for Smart Yield V2, it addresses pretty much all of the pain points we had with the first version that we gathered from the community and from the people that have been using it. So it fixes the senior and junior tokens are now both ERC20s. Seniors can exit before the maturity dates, gas improvements, better oracles, everything is there. So the spec is final on that. For this one, smart contract work actually started, and we're also looking to book the audits for those. Audit friends are busy, but we're doing our best to secure some in like soon after the holidays. So that's looking exciting. Some timelines for that. For the first product, we are thinking sometime in Q2 this year, and the second quarter, so spring release for that. It's going to be in time for the first year anniversary of Smart Yield V1. That's for the first product, and the fixed rate product and Smart Yield V2 is going to come soon after that. So both of these are slated for a Q2 release. So yeah, more on those as we go along. How we progress with the dev work, how the audits go, everything is going to happen the same as it did for Smart Yield and Smart Alpha and all of the stuff we did before. I think this is the last point, and it's on the layer 2s we've been deploying. So we currently have 4, I think: Arbitrum, Avalanche, Polygon, and BSC. I hope I'm naming all of them, but we are currently working on deploying on Optimism, which is very exciting. We have deployed on Optimism Kovan, and it's on our dev environment. We're currently testing that out. We are working with Chainlink to get feeds up for more pools. We're going to try to move some of the mainnet pools to Optimism to improve gas costs. We're also in touch with the Optimism team, and yeah, the Optimism, the mainnet Smart Alpha factory will be whitelisted soon. So expect Smart Alpha on Optimism like before the holidays, in time for the holidays actually. So plans for the existing L2 deployments, specifically, we're going to work on cleaning up the more unused ones, let's call it. And based on the Smart Alpha Treasury thing I mentioned before, we're going to try and target specific projects on each one of those projects that are sitting on large treasuries, and show them the power of Smart Alpha for treasuries, and hopefully get some of those using it. Did I go through everything? I think I did. Hope this new style of dev updates works. We're gonna spend some time polishing the bullet points and the doc with those, and as I said, we're gonna share it and see what you guys think. Thanks everyone. I'm gonna go drink some water because my mouth is dry.
Thanks, Wigmore.
Thanks, Morgan.
Very good.
Appreciate the detail. Anything else on the tech dev side, guys, before we shift to operations?
I mean, there's one thing that I might want to add is like everything is like visible within GitHub, and even like just going like past you know, what's been going on, you can find like a very, very nice pull list of everything's been going on. All the code's like open source. You can run it off, you can do whatever. So but if you look over releases, you're gonna see like all the tough work that's been going on. And it's a lot there.
Yeah, about everything being open source now, including the backend, which was previously proprietary. So now you're going to be able to spin up like your own full version of the app, including the backend, including everything. It's open source to encourage everyone to contribute to it. Enjoy the code.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I think that I'm breaking up, so I tried to call in on audio. But first of all, thank you, Bogdan, for the super in-depth update. And one thing that I would add, I'm just driving in the Puerto Rico Wi-Fi or the cellular data isn't great. So I may have missed this, but one thing I want to like harp on and like add to is that we don't really know what to call it. Like we just kind of call it the Sailor product for now. And we'll figure out what we call it later. But both Bogdan and then also Christian, as well as myself, have had numerous calls with large funds to help us figure out, like, if we built this product, would you use it? And then getting feedback to be like, okay, yeah, these I would use it if this feature was available, then I'd absolutely use it. So I think that for kind of the incoming roadmap of the products that are releasing kind of as the next two, they're not just kind of internal thoughts, they're things that we've taken input from the community about the usage of the existing products, as well as talking to larger and larger funds. Because ultimately, if we get it right with the funds, they can do a lot of the I guess you would call it TVL development, and what they do as being old world, like traditional funds. So I think that's where I'm the most excited about the products coming, is that there seems to be a lot of appetite on the fund side that's been really eye-opening.
Awesome. It's a great segue to the next batch of updates here on the operations side. So I'll kick things off with a few updates. Tyler and Bogdan kind of referenced some of the work we've been doing on the business development side as it relates to looking at our layer 2 strategy, both trying to see how we narrow our focus and look to target a few native assets on the chains we are deployed on now, the work in partnering with those teams kind of continues to try to build out a more meaningful strategy versus looking at deploying a number of pools on each. And I think we'll look to work more closely with the Optimism team as that comes live, but that's exciting as well. From there, other updates, I'd say, we've been working with a number of other teams exploring ways to build exposure to BarnBridge, provide opportunities to access kind of what we're building here as well. More to come on that publicly in the near term. But with that, I'll pass it over to Pavlo for some more specific tactical updates on the operations side.
Hi, everyone. So there has been multiple ongoing programs that have been on the fly. And first to mention was the cream donations program. So aside from actually distributing the cream tokens that the cream team has been reimbursing the people with, we have lately processed the distribution of the amounts that were donated by the community members. And so this program is is actually like wrapped up. So yeah, some other stuff related to the ongoing programs would be that for the UMA KPI option program, we actually claimed the access bond from the UMA contracts. So that bond is now on the DAO service multisig, and we can look into and explore some ways how we can actually like utilize that in the future. Also, there has been an Olympus Pro bonding program coming to its end. So at the moment, 95% of the LP shares were purchased. So it's something like 800 bonds out of 15,000 is left in the contract. So, and we, as a DAO, we have been able to obtain around 280K worth of LP shares. So that's great stuff. I think there have already been some discussions in Discord around like how to what other options do we have, and like about like prolonging the program. So that's something that's ongoing, and also feel free to share your opinion about that in the Discord channels. Some other things would be the Entropify announced that they are going to launch a game for Bone token holders. And so essentially Entropy is a lossless prediction market where you can deposit stable coins as a liquidity provider and earn yield that's generated plus your native token that's called ERP. And in regards to their latest announcement, their team is going to snapshot the bondholders and whitelist them for gaining an access to the bond game that they will be launching. So they are going to take the snapshot and make the announcement. So if you're interested, just follow the announcement on that front, and just make sure to check it out. We have also a few outstanding firm proposals for adding new smart alpha pools, and this is something we are actually looking to work on in kind of like this larger smart alpha pools revamp program, as well as we have also started discussing and exploring the way how we can actually make the process of launching the smart alpha pools more smooth, straightforward, and faster. And some of the things that we need to figure out, and that I actually mentioned the other day in the Discord channel, is like that we actually, for any smart alpha pool, we need a reliable chain link oracle and deep liquidity for an asset. So kind of like figuring out what the threshold would be and what the criteria for those would be would help in this process. And that's something we are looking into right now, along with just figuring out the way to set up this process to make it easier for everyone. On that note, I think that's everything I had on my side.
Awesome. Thanks, Pablo. Tyler, kick it over to you. You want to chat through the AMA later and kind of some of those questions that you'll be hitting?
In the question that were, I think a lot of this will be good questions. But I learned that quickly what Pablo said, the communities, some of the rebalancing of smart alpha, since they're manually triggered. I mean, DMOB has been working on the how the keepers work to make some of this cheaper. But I think one thing that we need to think through as the community at aggregate, and know that we have been working internally, is with all of different layer twos, it can fragment the
Breaking up.
He's gone. It looks like it cut out.
I think just in terms of what Tyler was saying, the first part, the questions that were posted in Discord, I think Tyler's going to hit those on the AMA later today. I see Tyler hopping back on right now. Well, we lost him again. Just a big part of the strategy around looking at where we're deploying and prioritizing when it comes to layer twos is around avoiding kind of this idea of fragmenting liquidity across a range of layer twos and networks, and trying to figure out how we can really help grow an ecosystem on one or a couple of these. But I see Tyler's back on now. Are you there? I think we're still having some audio issues. Any other update? Oh, Tyler, go ahead.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I'm very sorry about the audio issues. What I was saying a second ago is that I think that all of us need to think about, and I mean, we've all been talking to the Optimism team. We've obviously got a really good working relationship with Polygon, but thinking kind of through strategically which layer twos that we deployed these pools to optimize the liquidity, so it's much cheaper to do some of these rebalances, and then keeping the very large assets like Ethereum and Bitcoin on the base chain. It's going to help ensure that it doesn't cost more to run these things than it costs to use them, right? And I think that the Bitcoin and Ethereum pools, it's smart to have them on the most secure chain. But to get enough liquidity in those things where the rebalances aren't just eating at the fees, it's a larger discussion that we are all looking into to make it easier, cheaper, and more streamlined to launch more pools. The second part, I just wanted to expand on what Pablo was saying in conjunction with what Bogdan was saying earlier. The other part, as far as the AMAs go, is I'm doing an AMA this evening, and I think that since Max was doing AMAs before, there's a gap where I want to pick up and start doing more frequent AMAs with the community. Part of the reason for this is that I have like Discord and Telegram fatigue, where there's just a lot of messages and keeping up with all the fun things going on in the ecosystem at aggregate. So it's sometimes I will miss important things that I want to get in there and talk about. And so I want to make sure that people know that they still have an open line of communication with all of us. And so I will, I'm not sure the schedule yet, like whether it's going to be every other week, maybe it could be weekly for a while, since the communications have been less optimal leading up to this. So basically on the AMA today, we can kind of figure out what some of the ideal like amount of times that we do, or like the cadence of it essentially. But I will make a concerted effort to have more public discourse, and it will help me in an AMA format where we can consolidate feedback and kind of go through the list. And if this AMA, you know, goes on for a long time and it seems like there's more questions, we can just keep having them in a cadence that's appropriate until everyone is what's happening and the communications that are going back and forth, because that's obviously something that I really want and am really passionate about. When we had, you know, 100 to 200 people in the Discord banging out early on, it was easier to keep up with everything when there's, you know, 5,000 and then all the projects across the ecosystem that, you know, people follow for integration purposes. So yeah, basically what I'm saying is that I want to get back to a level and cadence of communication that everybody's excited about. So yeah, I'll answer the questions that were on the BarnBridge like call today on that AMA, and then I will have additional AMAs, and we can just all do this as a community.
Awesome. Thanks, Tyler. So anything else, guys, for this call that we want to cover?
No, not at the moment. I mean, I think a lot of this stuff can get fleshed out on these things on Discord going forward. Cool.
Okay. Well, this will be posted today, the video, and we'll get that first of a recurring update doc live. Ideally later today, at the latest tomorrow, early, just as a heads up. But we'll be flagging that in Discord when it's ready to go. But I think we can break. This was a great call. Thanks everyone for the updates. Bogdan especially, appreciate the detail. And with that, I think we can break. So thanks everyone.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.